Hey guys, and welcome to an absolute masterclass in Cavalry play. I'm a Rubber Ducker War, but today I'm not going to be playing. Today we'll be going to be watching some games between the legendary Enticity on the left-hand side here and Cavalry on the right as the Warriors of Chaos march to do battle up against the Children of the Old Ones and my favourite Dino Boys. Should be a really good fun game. It's going to be an absolute wild scrap and a very micro-intensive build from Enticity. As we can see, he's gone full Cavalry, monsters and chariots. So let's delve into the build. We do have some Royal Horsemen, some out on the left-hand side and some in the back as well, spreading their wings all the way along the battle line. Absolutely pivotal to have skirmish cavalry up against the Lizardmen so you can take down those large single entity monsters. We also have some chariots. One is the Gore Beast chariot on the far right-hand side, and on the left-hand side we have the Chaos chariots. In the center we have a load of armored knights in the form of the Chaos Knights with lances. We have 1, 2, and 3. Personally, I think the Lancers are far better than your standard variety if you have good micromanagement. Their cycle charging gives them devastating charges where they can really lance down their opponents. They'll be very comfortable running over skinkies, pinning in large single entity monsters, and eventually grinding down Saurus warriors. As is tradition with any faction who can take them, we do have 2 Chaos Ferromanticles up in the sky. For their cost, they simply are the best and most competitive monsters in the game. Down low on the ground here, we do have the legendary Everduck, the Everwatcher here himself, Saf Royale, coming in with some rather interesting spells. So normally you will see Plague of Rust. This is super common, negative armor to people, but Transmutation of Lead is surprisingly amazing, particularly up against the Lizardmen. Lizardmen's main weakness is they don't have the greatest melee attack or melee defense because they hit so hard and they have so many large tanky creatures. So to make that kind of punish them for having that low melee attack, you lower it again. Negative 24 melee attack is going to mean a large majority of the large creatures and elite warriors for the Lizardmen are going to be having melee attack for like 2 or 3. They're basically never going to be hitting. For Cavalry, one of the deadliest Lizardmen players in the game right now, with a load of skin coats of javelins dotted through the front formation, which is to be expected. Those javelins can get some really nice work done and a relatively solid counter skirmishing tool at that. We have some skin cohorts and Saurus warriors along the battle line, some Croxagores in the back to pin in the enemy. Not the biggest fan of Croxagores personally, but we'll have to see how they perform today. And then I'm sure you guys have noticed we have a gigantic, beautiful Dread Saurian lumbering its way towards the battlefield. Let's give him a little neck scratch down here, supported by 2 Saurus Scar Veterans, very powerful anti-large heroes, and a Slann Mage Priest of Life coming in with Dwellers Below, Banishment, and Earthblood. You're almost always going to want some healing if you are bringing a Mighty Dread Saurian to the battlefield. Little Skinks do unleash a couple of volleys into the Royal Horsemen. Unfortunately for them, the Knights lower their lances and charge directly into the Skinks, simply running them over, treading their 2 puny little skulls unfortunately under hoof and falling back without taking much damage. There's some beautiful cycle charging and it's baiting out the Dread Saurian and the Scar Veterans so you can swoop in that blade right under the gut there into the enemy formation and jump on top of these Saurus warriors, starting to overload them with Manticores, Cavalry as well as chariots, and the Dread Saurian is simply out of position and those Chaos Knights were able to fall back. Beautiful hit and run tactics, and a similar tactic is happening on the left. He came in with the Everwatcher, distracted the enemy and then jumped with his lance as well as his chariots and manticores. So there are some Croxagore on this side to help support, and things are getting a little bit messy, so the Everwatcher does indeed cast down the Transmutation of Lead, lowering Saurus melee attack. Let's have a little look where they are. Saurus melee attack to a pitiful 5 and Croxagores to 2. They're basically going to be doing 0 damage to the Warriors of Chaos who are flooding this left-hand side. Even the Horsemen now being invigorated and pushing into melee combat, knowing that they're basically never going to be getting hit. A lovely trap is sprung though by Cavalry. He baits in some Horsemen onto his Skinks, then hits some of the Dwellers Below. That's going to be breaking off 2 units for the price of 1. Not a bad trade whatsoever. On the right hand side, the Dread Saurian has managed to stabilize the Lizardmen formation and drive back those Knights. Not doing the most amount of damage, but he does a big blow dart on the back of him, so the longer this battle goes on, the more value he will be able to accumulate here. Saurus Scar Veterans are driving in as well, hunting down these Chaos Knights. Flee before the might of the Children of the Old Ones, and even the Slann's getting in there doing some glorious chanting. We're going to see another Banishment come down. This unit of Chaos Knights is basically full health. Look at that health drip off them. They are taking so much arcane damage there, although it looks like the Croxagores will be going down with a well-placed Plague of Rust. Those Chaos Knights just got absolutely obliterated by the Slann. You love to see it. One Saurus Scar Veteran has moved over here to support the Saurus Warriors and Skinkies. Unfortunately for him, his fellow dinos are fleeing for his life, so he's now a little bit isolated and alone. Dread Saurin certainly wants to catch up, but I think the Dread Saurin at the moment is really trying to force back chariots. It will be poison him with those blow dots off the back, so he may be able to catch them. Skinks are led in a suicidal charge into the Chaos Knights of Lances by the Saurus Scar veteran. Saurus Warriors in hot pursuit as well, but you can see his constant hit and run tactics, never sticking with his cavalry, always hitting and then immediately bouncing out unless he has a massive advantage of numbers. Beautiful play here with the cavalry, but the Dread Saurin is designed to kill cavalry. It's amazing at it. It's kind of the one thing the Dread Saurin can do really well is kill an insane amount of cavalry and be rather tanky as it does do so. It's moving in now to support up against this Chaos Pharaoh Manticore. Poor little Saurus Scarvich was getting dumpstered on, but a nice well-placed Cold-Blooded and Potion of Strength is keeping him in the action. They actually force off one of the Manticores. Transmutation of Lead is once again popped, lowering the melee attack of even the mighty Dread Saurin down to just 29. That's so powerful. It means it's not going to be able to connect with these Pharaoh Manticores anywhere near as much as it would have previously, but when it hits, it's still going to hit relatively hard. Saurus Warriors getting a nice sandwich here between them of a double Chaos Knight. Even the Slan's like, nope, I'm out. I don't want to fight this. I'm going to peace out, leave you guys to. I'm sure you'll do absolutely fine. And the Saurus are simply getting trampled on. The Horsemen have returned. We have 3 units of Skirmish Cav all aiming right now at that Dread Saurin, but an Earthblood is going down to keep him nice and topped up, and he still has plenty left in the tank. Surrounding himself by the most loyal of warriors, the Saurus Scar veterans are cleaving a bloody path through the Warriors of Chaos battle lines. Chariots flee before them, and Knights now have been chucked in to pin this beast in play and buy time for the Horsemen to dish out the damage, because there's not too much left which can actually counter the Skirmish Cavalry, although the Slan Mage Priest is getting in there and dishing out some pretty decent damage. He hits relatively hard, but does have pretty garbage melee attack stats. Dread Saurin is being buffed up by Cold-Blooded right now, keeping him in the fight, but taking javelins from all angles, surrounded by monsters and cavalry alike. It is not going too well for our beautiful baby boy, and the Everwatcher is going to jump on top of him, and it looks like the Dread Saurin shall be biting the dust. But despite this, balance power is actually still in favor of the Lizard Folk. A lovely banishment comes down, once again clearing the path of these Chaos Knights, and perhaps saving the Dread Saurin. It is clinging on for dear life right now. Its leadership is so low, but the transmutations of lead have been so well placed, and they really suit this hit and run style of play we're seeing from the Warriors of Chaos today. Dread Saurin is going to be breaking and running away, and unfortunately, if he starts running away, there's not too much that the Lizardmen player can do to get him in the battlefield once again, due to all the cavalry, and I think it's 2 times this week we've seen a Dread Saurin die on my streams, and it always upsets me. So it's like a puppy dying. It's absolutely horrible. So the Dread Saurin does go down, but we still have the mighty heroes fighting. However, Transmutation of Lead is making them far less impressive than they usually would be. Chaos Chariots and Knights are ramming them right up the rear street there, as the Everwatcher does come in, popping stand or die, increasing the melee defense of his troops, just as he decreased the melee attack of his enemies. Skinks are being used really well here, though, by Cavalry, who's still scrapping his way in this game, forcing back the Horsemen and driving them away from the main fight, supported by a bucket ton of Skink Javelins, who have also returned, and they do manage to break off some of the Horsemen, but there's a load more still to come, with a decent amount of ammunition on all of them. That Plague of Rust helped the Slan Mage Priest actually get shattered really quickly, and now it is just the Saurus Scar veterans versus the world. Not too much left that's amazing against them, apart from the Skirmish Cavalry here. Now they are ripping and snapping at these chariots, and it looks like they do manage to drag down one of them. The other chariot seems to know what's on and starts to flee for its life, as the Saurus Scar veterans do try to fight over the corpse of the Dread Saurin, buying time for their beloved Slan Mage Priest to retreat back to a temple city and plot and scheme once more to come back to glory. I'm not sure the Slan Mage Priest is going to get out of there. In fact, they don't, they die, and it is worth, I believe, killing an enemy lord, even if they are broken, just to give that extra negative leadership. If they shatter, though, I'm not sure if it actually changes too much there. But the Saurus Scar veteran, Cold-Blood popped on him. He is still terrified and running for his life, leaving his buddy to fight the horrors of the world alone. A load of javelins coming in, a load of knights clawing at his flesh, and he is not going to be able to win today. A masterclass from the Warriors of Chaos there by Enticity does take down the Lizardmen forces. Well played to both these champs. 2 of my favorite players to watch, actually, both very tactically adept, and it's always fun to see these interesting high cavalry, high intensity builds. You have to have such good micro to pull off a build like this. I can do it now and again, not against someone of the skill of Cavalry, so well played to Enticity. That truly was a cavalry masterclass, and Cavalry as well, a true champ. Despite going down here, I mean, he brought a Dread Saurin, and it got over 3,000 damage value, one of the most talented Lizardmen players around at the moment. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will delve into the damage dealt and damage value of all of these units in just a second. Pretty excited to see actually how the Chaos Knights got on, but before we do get to that, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a big fat juicy thumbs up, subscribe as well for more Total War Warhammer content into the future, and comment down below what you thought of the battle. Also, this is only my second video with my new microphone. I have adjusted the settings once again just a little bit, changing down hopefully like the loudness of my voice, because I think there was a tiny bit too much. Let me know if you prefer it from last video, if you prefer it from my usual mic, and just to give general feedback on the microphone, it would be greatly appreciated. Enticity is also quite a fantastic YouTuber himself. Make sure to go check out his YouTube channel. Simply type in Enticity and Total War into your search box and you will find him. He does really cool little kind of like short videos breaking down units, breaking down spells. It is so useful. Any experienced players, any new players, I highly recommend going out to check Anticity's stuff. And he's also going to be joining us this weekend on Creative Assembly's tournament. The Teach Me Total War, he is one of the teachers, so that's also rather cool. Once again, well played to Enticity, well played to Cavalry. Let's delve into the damage dealt and damage value. 1,466 damage value from the Everwatcher, 67 kills, not the most insane mind-boggling stats of all time, but that Transmutation of Lead was so good. It's such an underrated spell, and I think up against the Lizardmen, it can prove really deadly. Chaos Chariot's got 596 damage value and 90 kills, very good at clearing out skinks, javelins, and also hunting packs. Actually, they're quite decent at chasing them down. Only 450 though from the Gorebeast Chariots, who did have a tussle now and again with a rather angry Dread Saurin. Chaos Knights of Lances got 161, 107, and 115 kills, 1.4k damage value, 2,059 damage value, and 1,633. It's not often we get to see Chaos Knights perform, but when used correctly, these bad boys can be devastating. As for the Skirmish Cav, it's cheap, it's cheerful, and it always gets some decent damage. 560, 340, 955, and 568 damage value across the board there for the Cavalry. Chaos Ferroman's Core, 1,674 damage value, and 1,213 comfortably paying for themselves, and then some on top of that. As for Cavalry, a very cool build. The Slime Mage Priest got 1.7k damage value, despite, for the most part, being a support character. Those banishments were really well placed and very deadly. Saurus Scar Veterans, 1.3 and 1.4k damage value, certainly not too shabby whatsoever, and the Skinks and the Saurus really suffered. I mean, none of them actually paid for themselves, I don't think. Some of the Javelins did. One Javelin paid for itself out of all of the infantry, and it's due to the fact that none of it's really that good against Cavalry. The Javelins formed a bit better than the Saurus just for their cost. I mean, they at least got, half their value, just about 3/4 of their value here. One unit actually paying for itself, but other units 6 damage value, 79. It's not a great look. And Kroxigor for me, just because they're like a melee attack, really do suffer quite poorly. Now, if you buff them, they can become lawnmowers, but they're one of those units you really have to support. And the fact they got debuffed even more by that Transmutation of Lead basically made them useless. Only 373 damage value. But you know who's never not useless? That is the... Wait, what's that? He's never useless is what I meant to say, but I think he said he's never not useless. But the Dread Saurin, I apologize, don't hunt me down. He got 40 kills, 3,051 damage value, and 11k damage dealt. Been a bit of a raid boss, and quite a nice counter actually to this style of play, if you can keep the horsemen away from him. And Cavalry did that for a long time, but in the end, Enticity always gets his prize. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.